Welcome to episode 4 of the Wealth Effects Social Security Optimization for Women. I'm your host, Rick Roach. I'm the Director of Client Engagement at Wealth Effects LLC, a Boston area registered investment advisory firm. And we thank you for joining us on episode 4, where we're going to talk about in depth spousal benefits. In this episode, what we're going to do is walk you through and talk you through a number of scenarios. We'll use examples and illustration to highlight how Social Security spousal benefits work. When Social Security was first instituted in 1935, many women did not work, whereas today many women claim on their own benefits, and they may well take a spousal benefit as well, a combination. But we're going to do a deep dive here on spousal benefits to share with you relevant and timely information. The first thing we're going to show you here, now this is a decision tree, and this decision tree it really illustrates how spousal Social Security benefits work. What you do here is you answer the questions and you follow the arrows indicated to the next condition until no more conditions apply. But we're going to make this much easier for you by using this diagram as a general framework, if you will, but showing you illustrations and examples of how Social Security benefits work when it comes to claiming as a spouse or on an ex-spouse's record. So, number one, many women today are eligible on their own work records. But a spouse that goes in, someone who's married and claiming on their own work records, may well be required by the Social Security Administration to do what's called a deemed filing. In essence, what they're doing is when you're applying for Social Security at that time, they're making you apply both on your own work history and as a spousal benefit. Generally, what happens is you're going to receive the higher benefit of those two. Now, women with no work record or low benefits are eligible for anywhere from 1/3 to 1/2 of a spouse's Social Security benefits. It really depends on what the benefit is and when that individual claims. Now, most working women today are going to attempt to or should claim at their FRA, their full retirement age, because in that instance, they're going to receive the maximum benefit on a primary insurance amount. If they delay even a couple more years, they may well get a delayed retirement credits as well. So let's use some examples here, some illustrations. These are all hypotheticals. Spousal benefit here is 50% of a husband's primary insurance amount. That's the PIA. So in this scenario, Jack and Jill are married. Jack's primary insurance amount is $2,400 per month. His spouse, Jill, never worked outside the home. So Jack files for his benefit, and Jill, as a spouse, can also file if she applies at her full retirement age. She's entitled to 50% of Jack's primary insurance amount. So again, Jack's is $2,400 a month. Jill would be entitled on his spousal benefit to receive $1,200 per month if she applied at her full retirement age. She applied early, that wouldn't be the case. If you applied before your retirement age on a spousal benefit, you're going to receive your own reduced benefit first. And if your primary insurance amount is less than half of your husband's, but you may also receive a spousal benefit, we'll talk about that in a moment. But if the primary insurance amount is more than 50% of your husband's primary insurance amount, you'll not receive a benefit. We'll tell you why that is in just a moment. So here again, another illustration. This is called topping off. This is a strategy where the Social Security benefit may well give you an extra boost to your check. So in this scenario, Jack's primary insurance amount is $2,400 a month. His spouse's is only $800. Jack has already claimed his benefit. So his spouse files for benefit at 62. Age 62, as we already spoke about, is the minimum benefit age. Her spouse, that spouse will only receive 70% of that. Remember, there's a 30% discount. So on her own benefit, Jill would only be entitled to $560 per month. However, there's a spousal add-on. That spousal add-on is 1/2 of her spouse's primary insurance amount minus hers, and reduced by 35% for early claiming. So again, it shows you the math here. In this scenario, it'd be $1,200 a month minus Jill's $800, which equals $400, but she's claiming early, so it's going to be discounted by 35%. Net, she would get $260 a month plus $560 or $820 a month. Again, this is called topping off. She's getting more than what she'd get on her own as a result of this spousal topping off of the benefit. One more example here. Jack's primary insurance amount, $2,400 a month. Jill's primary insurance amount is $2,000. Now, if Jill holds off and does not file until her full retirement age, let's say it's 66 or 67, she's going to receive that $2,000. She wouldn't be entitled to a spousal benefit, and she would prefer her own anyway because it's more than half. That $2,000 a month she would get is more than $1,200 she'd get as half of her spouse's $2,400. So it makes sense there that she claims on her own work record. So divorced spouses, this is the section where we'd encourage you to listen in if you're in this status. So more than 4 in 10 near retirees, people aged 55 to 65 years of age, in a recent survey, do not know that divorced people can collect Social Security based on their ex-spouse's earnings. So here are some of the key requirements, if you will. The marriage must have lasted at least 10 years, at least a decade. They're currently unmarried, and the ex-spouse has already claimed, the ex-spouse is 62, he doesn't have to necessarily claim. But if the divorce occurred more than 2 years ago, the spouse does not need to have filed for his or her benefit yet. So here's an example, another illustration, if you will. Dick and Dora are divorced. They were married for a decade. Dora is 62 or older, and she's unmarried. Dick's primary insurance amount is $2,400 per month, and he's over 62. His wife files for her divorced spouse benefit at her full retirement age. Dora's divorced spouse benefit would be half of her ex-spouse's, or $1,200 per month. Now, her former spouse, his benefit's not affected at all. And if her former spouse had 2 or 3 other spouses and was married to each of them for 10 years, then their benefits would not be affected. So Dick's other wives' divorced spouse benefits aren't affected by Dora claiming on his work earnings history, nor is his as well. There's some of the benefits in terms of a divorced spouse benefit being the same as a spousal benefit. Now, even if you were married more than 10 years, you're currently unmarried, but your own primary insurance amount is more than half of your spouse's. We talked about this earlier. You won't be entitled to a divorced spouse benefit. However, if your ex-spouse passes away, you're still living, your divorced spouse survivor benefit generally is equal to 100% of his or her benefit. So in that instance, it's in your best interest to refile with the Social Security to claim the survivor benefit, because you're going to get a larger monthly sum than if you did it on an ex-spouse claiming strategy. So as a general rule, if you remarry, benefits on a former spouse's record stops, with some exceptions. Very importantly, if you remarry, particularly before age 60, you must inform the Social Security Administration. If you remarry before age 50, you're not eligible for survivor or disability on the surviving spouse unless a later marriage ends. Remarrying between the ages of 50 to 59, you may be eligible as a disabled surviving spouse if you're disabled or unable to work. And if you remarry after age 60, you may be eligible for survivor benefit on a deceased spouse's record or benefits on a new spouse's record. How do you know which is best for you? Contact the Social Security Administration. Now, in 2015, the Supreme Court of the United States decided that same-sex couples had a constitutional right to marry in all states. But generally, they must be legally married in the state where they reside and they're claiming their benefit and live together as a married couple. Now, some non-legal relationships, that is civil unions or domestic partnerships, are also recognized. But right now, there are only 8 jurisdictions, 7 states and the District of Columbia, that currently recognize common law relationships as marriages. This shows states that recognize and states that don't recognize common law marriages, because in some states there's a sense of reciprocity. We would suggest you reach out to your family law attorney to see how it applies in your particular state where you live, if you're claiming a spousal benefit or a survivor benefit based on an ex-spouse. So, advice for women based on your marital status. Currently married, coordinate benefits with the spouse. 1 or 2 would ideally postpone to age 70. And if you're entitled to a spousal benefit, claim no earlier than your full retirement age. If entitled to a spousal benefit, claim at that age. Or if not, claim your own benefit at age 70. If widowed, coordinate your retirement and survivor benefits. Take the higher benefit last. Never marry. Maximize your own benefit by working longer. Delay the start of retirement benefits, ideally to age 70, at a minimum, your full retirement age. And any woman whose former spouse is deceased, consider survivor benefits as a possible resource if you have not remarried prior to age 60. So in episode 5, we're going to talk about the survivor episode. Like the Survivor TV series, we'll show you how to outsmart, outlive, and outlast your retirement income outgo. In the Survivor episode, we answer 2 vital questions of when and how. When the deceased spouse claim his or her benefit, and when should the widowed spouse claim her or his Social Security survivor benefit. As a Social Security recipient, a widow myself, I have practical experience on these and other relevant topics. On the upcoming slide, you'll find the contact email to connect with one of our experienced Wealth Effect advisors. We're offering a no obligation review of your current Social Security strategy and a deep dive in the strengths and gaps of your retirement income. As a takeaway for reaching out to us, we'll also send you an exclusive bulletin. It's featured on the next slide. It's packed with timely, actionable insights. It's really a must read for anyone looking to maximize their retirement income. If you're not ready to talk to an advisor yet, no problem, no obligation. If you'd like to receive the takeaway featured on the next slide without consulting us, simply click on the takeaway box below to download the PDF. And finally, if you're ready to learn more about retirement income strategies and how to maximize Social Security and minimize your taxes on your retirement income portfolio, please reach out to us. We're committed to helping you be in the top 4% of Americans that optimize their Social Security election.